across the Cape Peninsula of South Africa, where the mountains cast long shadows over sleepy coastal towns, a simmering conflict rages on. Chacma baboons. They are intelligent and tenacious. They appear wherever humans are most vulnerable. They are scattered along Table Mountain, Silvermine and Scarborough, then down to Grau, Simon's Town or Tokai. They creep in like grey shadows. Moving between the mountains and urban life is only a thin line. In those border areas, the monkey density is unusually high. But what is more frightening is the way they coordinate. Each group usually has from 20 to 80 monkeys. The alpha male is always alert, while the offspring live in a strong bond with their mother, support each other to find their way, break down fences, rummage through trash or pry open the roof. All of this happens quickly, neatly, and instinctively, a long and persistent tug of war, and there is never a sign of stopping. It is this almost unbelievable intelligence that makes them the perfect intruders. Just a few days of observation, the whole herd can memorize every small path leading into a residential area, memorize the time when people leave their homes, and know exactly which kitchen is easiest to break into. They do not rush in instinctively. They calculate and wait for the opportunity, and then act like a group of professional thieves. As forests shrink and urban areas expand, the gap between humans and monkeys has almost disappeared. In 2025, more than 170 break-ins were recorded in Grau and Simon's Town, causing $1.22 million in damage. They destroy corrugated iron roofs like paper, overturn trash cans, and steal refrigerators.
The baboons trashing the house. Inside, outside.
Destroy vineyards and cornfields along the hillsides. In just 30 minutes, a vineyard worth thousands of dollars can be destroyed. But the economic damage is only the surface. The tension is worrying. People are always nervous when dozens of monkeys flood the streets and surround residential areas. They attack livestock, carry dangerous pathogens, and make any contact risky. For many families in the Cape Peninsula, baboons have become a true invasive species. Invasive, adaptable, and almost impossible to control. The South African government spends more than $400,000 a year on control measures, including fencing, chase patrols, and managing individual herds with GPS. However, when gentle measures are ineffective, the government is forced to turn to the last resort of controlled hunting. It is not an easy choice. It is not an arbitrary action. Hunters who want to participate must have a legal license and must strictly follow all regulations on the use of weapons. Hunting only takes place in areas where the damage has exceeded the threshold of tolerance, where there is no alternative that is safe for humans, crops and livestock. A heavy decision, but sometimes it is the only way to protect life. The hunting scene in South Africa is unique. New noise, new cows. A combination of strategy and patience. One morning, the early sunlight slid down the Silvermine cliffs. A hunter lay still behind a large boulder. His .243 Winchester rested firmly on a sandbag. The barrel pointed down the steep slope below. He had been following this troop of monkeys for 3 days, memorizing their paths down to the apple orchard at the edge of the forest. And as expected, they appeared.
That's a very big baboon footprint.
Small, fast, and neat black shadows, jumping from one rock to another. The leader male jumped onto a high rock. Just one strange sound, and the whole herd would disappear into the stone maze, leaving no trace.
It's a huge troop. They command the shot now. That was a monster baboon.
The hunter took his time. He adjusted the 3-9x scope. As it stepped across the gap between the bushes, a moment shorter than the blink of an eye, the angle of the shot was perfect. Bang! A clean crack. The male fell instantly. No time to send a warning signal. The rest of the pack was startled into a breaking wave. They rushed up the cliffs, cling to the narrow ledges. Another scene takes place in the Scarborough area, when a large troop of monkeys continues to destroy a farmer's vineyard. The hunter has chosen an ambush tactic the night before, set up a small tent near the waterhole where the group often drinks early in the morning. As the first light of day fades, shadows appear, moving across the grass. The young male stands guard, his eyes scanning the bushes. When he lowers his guard and steps to the left, the hunter fired a single shot. The 223 Remington worked accurately. The animal fell cleanly.
Gotcha.
Baboon hunting is never easy. A miss or a sloppy shot will send the wounded animal running deeper into the bush. It becomes more dangerous and raises the whole herd's alertness. Experienced hunters always avoid shooting at mothers with calves. Always aim for the heart to avoid prolonged pain. After each shot, the hunter must approach with absolute caution. No one dares to be subjective. A wounded baboon can become unpredictably aggressive.
He is so heavy. Those teeth.
Although hunting reduces pressure on farmers, its goal has never been to destroy. It is to control, to maintain balance. Baboons have been a natural part of South Africa, intelligent, strong and resilient for thousands of years. But when densities increase too much and the boundaries with humans collapse, conflict becomes inevitable. Licensed hunting therefore becomes a last but necessary measure, protecting crops and livelihoods of communities while keeping the ecosystem from tilting too fragilely to one side. Is licensed hunting really a reasonable last measure? Leave a comment to discuss. Hunters have just faced the fierce lunges of baboons, while halfway around the world, another predator is keeping American farmers up at night. On the wind-dried plateaus of Colorado, a silent but persistent predator is giving farmers more headaches than ever. The coyote. Few people know that their ancestors appeared in North America more than 1 million years ago, evolved from prehistoric wild dogs, and survived many harsh ice ages. That extraordinary adaptability has turned the coyote into a symbol of endurance. Today, they are found across much of the United States, estimated to number 5-7 million individuals. Spread from Canada, Montana, Colorado, Wyoming, to Texas, and even down into Mexico. Most concentrated in semi-arid grasslands, where cattle are always in sight. Coyotes are masters of survival. Fast, smart and agile. They hunt in pairs, in sophisticated coordination, and can change their behavior in just a few days to avoid human traps or ambushes. It is this intelligence that makes the war between coyotes and farmers in the West never really end, only a lull before erupting again. They live in small, flexible groups of 2 to 7, can split up or come together in just one night depending on food sources. Their adaptability is almost limitless. Hot deserts, cold pine forests, snow-capped mountains, and even the outskirts of cities. As long as there is food, coyotes will appear. Coyote populations are growing rapidly out of control. They attack livestock day and night, causing tens of millions of dollars in damage each year.
If we rotate the crops there,
Faced with increasingly fierce attacks,
That aligns with the
The
current
government
management
has
plan.
allowed
You can
hunters
proceed
and
as
farmers
discussed.
to use guns and traps to control the booming wolf population. But the real effectiveness of these measures remains a big question. Are they enough to protect the livelihoods of Canadian farmers? Or are they just a temporary solution in an unequal battle with nature?
Stop.
According to the latest statistics, Canada has an estimated 60,000 to 80,000 coyotes. They are densely distributed in Alberta, British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Forests and grasslands are ideal hunting environments. Alberta is the hottest region. Average densities are around
Density's about
710 per
7 to 10
100
per
square kilometers.
around here.
Populations have increased slightly over the past 10 years, thanks to abundant food sources and a stable climate.
They're smart.
But for farmers,
And they
it's a
don't hunt
worry,
alone.
not a joy. Each herd
That's
has
the
4
leader.
to
The
10
others follow
individuals.
every move.
Acts on the leader's orders. They are intelligent, closely coordinated, and extremely patient. When hunting, they are as silent as the wind. Fast, accurate, even adult bulls have difficulty escaping their clutches. Spring is the most dangerous time. Newborn cubs. Wolves need a lot of food to grow them. They hunt day and night, from the low forest to the edge of the field. Then suddenly rush into the barn. All happens in a few short seconds. The next morning, the farmers only see the wolf's footprints on the ground. Wolves are not only fast, but also extremely intelligent. They observe, calculate, and wait. Before attacking, the pack howls softly to communicate, locate each other in the darkness. Then they spread out in an arc, gradually closing the circle around the prey. Every step has a purpose, not in a hurry, not showing any vulnerability. And when the distance is close enough, they charge at a speed of 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, leaving the calf or lamb no time to react. A bite to the neck, a swipe to the flank, it's all over in a few seconds. Deep bites on the neck and flanks are a telltale sign. Farmers know the culprit right away. A 2023 report found that Alberta and British Columbia lost more than 3,700 cattle. The loss is estimated at $13 million a year. Just one wolf can be devastating. It can take down 10 to 15 sheep in a night. Not because it's hungry, it's to stock up on food for the whole herd.
This is the primary hotspot area.
To stop the predator explosion, the Canadian government was forced to act. A large-scale controlled hunting and trapping program was implemented. Hunters were given special permits. Only 710 were allowed to be taken each season, depending on the area and wolf density. Every shot fired was an ecological decision, both to protect the livelihood of farmers and to keep nature in balance. A heavy job, but necessary in a world where humans and wolves coexist. Alberta, early March. Winter has just receded, but the air is still bitterly cold. The three hunters walked slowly along the edge of the forest. They wore thick coats. Rifles were slung over their shoulders. The most popular was still the 308 Winchester or the 30-06 Springfield. Both types of ammunition were favored for their long range and power, enough to take down an adult wolf with a single accurate shot. In front, the wolf's footprints were clearly visible on the damp ground. The animal had just passed by. The hunters hid behind a fallen pine tree, in the distance, about 100 yards or so. A male wolf was sniffing around an old wooden fence, the place where it had attacked a few nights ago.
Got no better than that, can it?
No voice, only heavy breathing and the wind. The hunter adjusted his scope, breathing evenly. Distance, 140 meters.
One. Right there.
Then bang.
Yeah.
The gunshot echoed in the quiet space. The wolf jerked, then fell to its knees, lying motionless in the dew-stained grass.
There's another fox coming in.
Well done. Good hit.
In rural, they approached slowly, recorded the coordinates, took photos to confirm, and reported over the radio. All in accordance with Canadian Wildlife Control Program procedures. Gunshots echoed across the deserted fields. A bobcat collapsed in the dust, a familiar sight in rural America. This feral cat, with its distinctive yellow eyes and short tail, has become a nightmare for American farmers, often breaking into barns, hunting poultry and young cattle. The damage amounts to millions of dollars each year, forcing people to use guns and traps to protect themselves. Does hunting really control bobcats, or does it just mask a larger ecological problem? In your opinion, should this predator be destroyed or protected to maintain the natural balance? Across the North American wilderness, from the snow-covered forests of southern Canada to Oaxaca, Mexico, the bobcat, Lynx rufus, quietly rules its territory. With its glowing yellow eyes like embers in the night and its distinctive bobtail, it is a symbol of cunning and resilience. According to studies in the United States, in the monitored area alone, an area of more than 2 million km squared, there are 1.4 to 2.6 million individuals living. Expanding across the entire United States, this number could exceed 3.5 million, a huge population that is still quietly growing. In at least 40 states, reports show that bobcats are not declining, but are on the rise more than ever, as if nature is restoring its balance, using the wildcat itself. In the United States, bobcat populations have exploded out of control, bringing them into direct contact with each other, causing serious damage to farms. A typical example occurred in Texas, where a bobcat killed 230 chickens in a single night. For families who depend on livestock for their livelihood, such losses are not only financially devastating, but also emotionally devastating and threaten their very lives. Each year, American farmers lose more than 60 million USD because of bobcats. To cope, many states have implemented controlled hunting programs, aiming to keep their numbers stable rather than exterminating them. This wild cat is extremely adaptable, living from dense forests, rocky mountains to arid grasslands. They leave behind distinctive large footprints, well-buried feces, and claw marks on trees, valuable signals for experienced hunters to follow. Hunting bobcats requires a difficult skill set, the ability to track over rugged terrain, a deep understanding of bobcat habits and behavior, and proficiency in using guns to shoot accurately, humanely, and accurately. A great challenge for hunters. Good morning. Today, the first wild boar eradication campaign of the year officially begins. This is more than just a hunt. It is a tense battle between humans and wild animals that have been spreading terror for months. With close coordination between the government and the people, Each red zone invaded by wild boars will become an arena of life and death. The question is, who will emerge victorious in this dramatic opening day? Once at the rendezvous point, there was no room for hesitation. Scopes were locked, eyes strained as they scanned the darkness. Before his eyes was a herd of wild boars. Each step made the hunter's heart beat faster. The moment he fired, the sound of the gun tore through the silence. The bullet flew in a suffocating suspense. From a distance, each shot was a life or death challenge. But thanks to the bravery honed through many battles, several targets fell, leaving behind an indescribable feeling of both trembling and pride. The scope was adjusted and the barrel continued to fire. The accurate shots caused many wild boars to fall as they panicked and rushed towards the dense canopy. Suddenly, the silhouette of a bull appeared in sight, powerful and ferocious. Heart pounding, breath caught, then bang. The sound of a gunshot ripped through the air. The bullet hit its target, rolling down the hillside. Several wild boars nearby also died in the blink of an eye, but others managed to escape, leaving the hunters with a mixture of regret and pride. After the fierce clash, the ambush site was changed to avoid detection. But then a sudden sight made his heart stop. From the mist, a giant wild boar appeared, its bloodshot eyes flashing with rage. In an instant, it suddenly changed direction, charging forward at terrifying speed. There was no room for hesitation. The gunshots rang out in rapid succession, each bullet like a race against death. Only when the monster collapsed before him did the rapid breathing in his chest slow down, a mixture of fear and ultimate relief. While hiding on the mountainside, the team kept a watchful eye. Amid the dense undergrowth, the dark, sullen silhouette of a herd of giant wild boars gradually appeared. Hearts pounding, breath held, we waited patiently for the fateful moment. As the animals stepped out, the signal sounded, weapons fired in unison. Gunfire tore through the air, each bullet hurtling straight into its target. In the rain of bullets, the black wild boars fell one by one, leaving the hunter with a feeling of both shivering and elation at the breathtaking victory. Crossing the next mountain range, the scene became more tense as more wild boars appeared. On the hillside, a giant herd was slowly advancing, its silhouette clearly visible through the scope. Heart pounding, hand tightening on the trigger, then boom, the first shot rang out. Immediately, the whole team opened fire, bullets flying through the air, taking down many targets one after another. But suddenly, from the dark bushes, a giant wild boar shot out like an arrow, making the breath catch in the chest. The hunter reacted instantly, his finger tightening on the trigger at the decisive moment. The bullet hit the giant wild boar in the head, causing it to collapse instantly. But the relief was short-lived as chaos overtook him. Several more animals made haste to escape. Looking down from above the valley, the hunter's heart sank as he saw a new herd of more than a dozen animals charging like a storm. Though many had fallen, the wild animals continued to swarm, testing the resilience of the humans. Chasing them straight away will only scatter them, making them difficult to control. So the team decided to split into small groups, quietly hiding from many directions. The strategy quickly took effect. Each wild boar fell under the fire. Not a single target escaped the target. As the sun slowly set, we headed down to the fields at the foot of the hill. And at that moment, the hunter's heart stopped. Before his eyes was a huge herd, so large it was terrifying, making everyone both overwhelmed and cold. They are so huge and incredibly fast that hunters have to use vehicles to get close enough. As soon as the shadow crept into view, his finger trembled, but he still tightened the trigger. The bang resounded. The bullet flew out with a pounding heartbeat. The open terrain seemed favorable, but the wild boars scattered everywhere, turning the chase into a tense and suffocating challenge, where will and concentration were tested to the limit. Despite our best efforts, we were only able to take down a portion of the dense herd. Hunting wild boars here is not easy. After each gunshot, the animals became more cunning, hiding deep in the bushes, difficult to approach as if they knew every move of the humans. Body tired, spirit exhausted, everyone silently gathered every remaining strength. The hunters breathed evenly, their hands still shaking. Each bullet counted like an oath engraved in their hearts. But tomorrow morning they will return without mercy. There is only one ending. Do you think the wild boars are really smart enough to read the hunters? Leave a comment below and subscribe to the channel to watch the next dramatic battle. Have you ever wondered why Texas has become a paradise for wild pigs? The answer lies in their terrifying biological instincts. The feral pig population here is exploding out of control, with a single adult female giving birth to up to 20 piglets per year. At that rate of reproduction, how long do you think it will take for humans to stop this disaster?
Senle. Vas-y. Ouais.
In just 1 year, feral hogs can double in size like a biological storm sweeping through Texas. Left unchecked, they multiply at a terrifying rate, turning fertile fields into muddy battlefields. Millions of dollars in crop damage each season, farms devastated, forests devastated. The question is, how long can humans stand by and watch? For farmers, ranchers, and conservationists alike, this is no longer a small matter, but a life or death struggle. What was once a manageable problem has now turned into a full-blown ecological and economic disaster. Every lost crop, every plowed plot of land is a warning that Texas is on the brink of an irreversible crisis. Each video is a new journey into nature and survival. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. To combat the growing threat, Texas has rolled out a series of control measures, but nothing is more Texan than the Wild Hog Hunt Championship. Each year, more than 3,500 hunters from across the country descend upon the state, armed with guns, traps, and fiery determination. The entire state erupts in a fierce competition where every shot is not just a game, but a mission to survive, to protect crops, land, and Texan honor. For many Texans, this is more than just a hunting contest. It is a symbol. It is a celebration of fighting spirit, a way for them to stand up and defend their land from the aggressive invaders. With cheers, smoke, and dust swirling, the contest becomes a symbol of unity in the fight against the invasive threat. From Europe to Asia, feral hogs have crossed the ocean, turning the American South into an invasive nightmare, and nowhere more so than Texas. The Lone Star State is home to about 1.6 million people but has 2.7 million feral hogs, nearly double the rural population. With a frenzied reproductive rate, they are multiplying relentlessly, destroying forests and turning cowboy country into a giant ecological battlefield. Unlike most invasive species, feral hogs are masters of adaptation. They thrive in a variety of environments, from forests to grasslands to swamps to agricultural fields. With their fearsome intelligence and aggressive nature, they are virtually immune to human traps. Each night, packs of feral hogs plow through the earth, leaving behind a trail of battle-torn devastation. The result is hundreds of millions of dollars in damage to Texas farmers each year as this ecological crisis spirals out of control. Would you believe that a pack of feral hogs can destroy an entire field overnight? Faced with a growing threat, Texans no longer choose to defend, but strike back with creativity and pride. The Texas Wild Hog Hunt Championship is not just a competition, but a national strategy, held twice a year in the winter from December to February, and in the summer from June to August. Each season lasts 2 intense weeks. During this time, hunters across the state prepare meticulously, scouting the terrain, mapping the hog herd's paths, and planning their attacks down to the hour. The atmosphere is like a military campaign where courage and skill are everything. These limits are not set haphazardly, but are the result of careful calculation. They are strong enough to curb the wild boar's frenzied reproduction, but delicate enough not to damage the fragile ecosystem. Between the thin line of conservation and destruction, Texas is trying to balance both fighting and preserving the life of the land it loves. Hunting, while necessary, always has unpredictable consequences. A shot can save a crop, but it can also upset the balance of nature.
Good. Tamam.
Hey.
That's why the Texas Wild Hog Hunt Championship is not just a fight against invasive species, but also an effort to maintain the delicate line between control and conservation, between survival instinct and responsibility to nature. Participation in the tournament is strictly controlled. Hunters under 18 must have a valid license and meet strict health requirements, from 20/20 vision to the ability to withstand pressure. Out there, the opponents are not gentle. Wild hogs move in packs of 10 to 15, ready to attack anyone who invades their territory. Hunters know 1 second of carelessness and that 450-pound bull can become a real nightmare. Facing a giant wild boar is no joke. They can charge at speeds of over 30 miles per hour, and their sharp tusks are powerful enough to tear human bones apart. That's why many hunters choose the legendary Remington 700 rifle, famous for its long-range accuracy. At 300 yards, a clean shot can keep the hunter at a safe distance and end the life and death confrontation in an instant. One small mistake and everything can end in the blink of an eye. Comment below if you believe the long-range shooting of the Remington 700, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see it for yourself. The wind whistled past his ears as the hunter closed in on the Texas woods. A pack of wild hogs appeared in the distance, moving slowly but warily. The sunset reflected off the curved tusks, reflecting the cold steel. He lay down, his hand gripping the Remington 700, breathing deeply, his heart beating in time with the aim. The trigger clicked, clean, sharp, and decisive. The large male collapsed, the ground shaking slightly. But he did not cheer, just watched, knowing that each shot was necessary, not for pleasure.
Get back! Get back! They're ruining the crops!
Don't hit him.
Before dawn had even broken, the barley fields were shaken by the rustling of dozens of red deer charging. Their huge, muscular bodies tore down steel fences, trampled saplings, and the sound of their horns clashing together rang out like a metallic clang. Cornfields, vineyards, and pastures were all wiped out in minutes. When the sun rose, the fields were left with only stumps and hoofprints as thick as wounds on the ground. The damage was in the hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and farmers watched helplessly as their hard work was lost. They came like a storm, one said, and left a deafening silence. But that silence was quickly broken. From the edge of the forest, the dry sound of cocking a gun rang out. The government-licensed hunters returned, carrying rifles, scopes, and determination. They advanced slowly through the morning mist, their eyes on the deer hiding in the early morning light. This was no ordinary hunt, but a battle for survival between humans and animals that were once considered symbols of wild beauty, now haunting the entire Australian agricultural industry. The wild world always hides unbelievable secrets. Click register to explore. The morning mist covered the Tasmanian pine forest. The ground was damp, so quiet that you could hear your heart beating. The hunter crouched low, his hand gripping his rifle, his eyes glued to the infrared scope scanning the treetops. Ahead, a giant red deer was slowly approaching the edge of the forest, the dawn light reflecting off its shiny brown fur and long, spear-like antlers. The wind changed direction. He paused, just a sharp breath enough to alert the animal. Each step moved slowly, mud heavy on his boots. Through the scope, the image of the deer was clearly visible, ears pricked, eyes darting around. Bang! The gunshot rang out. The echo reverberated through the forest like thunder tearing through the mist. The herd of deer behind startled and rushed away, dry leaves flying, rocks and dirt flying everywhere. The hunter stood still, his heavy breathing mixed with the smoke of the gun. His eyes had no joy, only silence mixed with a bit of regret. He understood clearly, this was not a hunt for trophies, but a mandatory mission to save the exhausted forests and protect the survival of the grasslands. In Alaska, encounters between humans and bears are more than just stories to tell around the fire. They are a harsh reality where survival and fear go hand in hand. From the frozen wilderness to the edges of towns, black and grizzly bears appear as powerful, intelligent ghosts of nature, with a keen sense of smell that can detect scents from miles away. Every encounter is a test between human instinct and wild power. As food sources dwindle, the line between forest and city becomes blurred. Bears began to invade human territory, rummaging through trash cans, destroying sheds, and sometimes standing tall in the middle of backyards. These encounters not only cause property damage, but also threaten the lives of residents. Now, hunters, rangers, and the community are forced to act not only by force, but also by survival strategies between humans and wild animals. In 2010, Alaska saw 125 bear attacks on homes, the chilling numbers reflecting a terrifying reality. Most of it happens in suburban areas where the boundary between nature and humans is as thin as a wooden wall. Attracted by the smell of garbage, pet food, or leftover meat or fish, bears tear open doors, smash windows, and even crash through walls. Every noise in the night can be a warning that they're coming. Go, get out of here. The voice shouted through the night. The door was locked with his heart still pounding. Although no casualties were recorded during those years, the fear and panic had clear consequences. Extensive property damage, soaring repair costs, and sleepless nights for the community. The cost of repairing the devastated homes has skyrocketed in just 1 year, surpassing $100,000 as walls crack and foundations shake as if they are about to collapse. In those life or death moments, calmness is the most powerful weapon. One right action can save your life. Remember, bears do not attack unless they feel threatened. Yelling loudly and backing away slowly not only distracts them, but also sends a signal that humans are not a threat. Keep your distance and avoid looking directly into their eyes. This is a way to respect nature and protect yourself. In that tense moment in the middle of the jungle, when the bear's roar echoes somewhere in the darkness, the most valuable weapon is not a gun but bear spray. With just one click, a pungent mist sprayed out, causing the beast to stop, its eyes blurred, its breathing erratic.
Shut up.
Are you calm enough to face a bear in the middle of the forest? Leave your comments below. It roared and retreated, and the hunter seized the moment, retreating silently amid the acrid mist and surging adrenaline. The dry numbers suddenly tell a thrilling story in the Alaskan wilderness. Once upon a time, a single encounter with a bear could end in tragedy, with 10% of encounters carrying a risk of death. Yet, strangely, between 2010 and 2015, not a single hunter was seriously injured. Have humans learned to live with fear, or is nature giving up for now? When giant shadows began looming over villages, Alaskan authorities were forced to make a bold decision. The black bear, the ruler of the deep forest, now descended on the settlement, tearing open trash cans, breaking down doors, and striking terror into the night. And then a hunt was ordered. Since 1920, hunters in Fairbanks have been allowed to take down up to 3 bears a day. The battle for survival has begun not just between man and beast, but also between reason and instinct. Before setting foot in the deep forest, each hunter must undergo a rigorous training course lasting more than 40 hours where their mettle is tested by fire. During the training sessions, simulated roars resound. A dummy bear charges from a distance of only 30 meters. Their hearts raced and their breathing became labored, but they forced themselves to remain calm. They learned to read movements, recognize defensive postures, and most importantly, when to retreat and when to stand their ground. This is not just training, but a lesson in survival skills and responsibility to protect the safety of both people and nature. Deep in the Alaskan woods, where fog clings to every tree, hunters huddle quietly behind their scopes. They carry more than just guns, they also carry cold precision. From a distance, through modern binoculars, they followed every movement of the grizzly bear. Just a small deviation, the hunter could become the prey.
Comes out, hit him again. Right there, hit him. Hit him.
He stood there like a giant in the middle of the snowy forest. Before his eyes, the target was just a blurry shadow moving in his sight. Long-range shooting is not for the impatient. It requires cold patience, steady breathing, and steady hands. One shot, one chance. What will you do? Comment now and subscribe to the channel to discover more fascinating survival stories. Just a single bullet through the heart or lungs was enough to end things quickly. The heavy bullet whistled, carrying with it a deadly force, breaking the hundreds of meters between predator and prey.
I can't believe it. There he goes. Oh!
Nice shot, you took it down. A hoarse voice echoed through the deep forest, mingling with the echo of the bullet whistling